Ernesto, on your seminar, you said that we are not the victims,
Yes.
and we're always making the choices. And I'm so glad that you made the choice to come here to
thank
St.
you.
Petersburg.
Thank you.
And it's a question I just want to ask. Is it your opinion changed about St. Petersburg before you went to London? Because it's your first visit?
Very much so. Really, the St. Petersburg that I was expecting to see and experience, and the St. Petersburg that I have been experiencing, they are very, very different. I'm not sure if I could say exactly what I was expecting, but all I can say is that what I got was not what I was expecting. I was really taken by what I can only call a kind of the grandeur of St. Petersburg. I wasn't expecting that. I had seen pictures, obviously, and seen films, but to actually be in it and to have a chance to get even just a brief touristy sense of it, I was really struck by how immense it was in every sense of the word, and how almost how rich it felt, not just financially rich, but rich in spirit and rich in its history, you know. So going to the Hermitage, going to some of the cathedral and some of the churches, to some of the museums, that was one thing. That's almost like showing, you know, the nicest parts.
Right.
But just seeing the rest of it, it was really eye-opening. And I have to say, it made me feel like London was so provincial.
Really?
In relation to St. Petersburg.
Did you have any existential insights during your trip to St. Petersburg?
Any existential insights? Wow. You mean walking around?
Right.
Well, again, I had that sense of people feeling very much at home in their city. You know, so in some cities you get a sense that the people who live there don't really want to live there. They're stuck there. And rightly or wrongly, the little bit of sense I had was that the people who are here are happy to be here and want to be here and feel proud to be here. So in that sense, the way that they walk and the way that they interact with each other has a smoothness to it, has a kind of, if I can use that dreadful word, it has a kind of authenticity to it, which is not always the case in the cities that I have been.
And the last question I have,
Yeah.
what is it to be existential therapist for you? And why did you make this choice?
I made the choice by accident, of course. I was initially very much interested and began to train as a psychoanalyst. And I became very disenchanted with the whole enterprise for various reasons. So I had to get some work and I had to do something. So I began to teach. I was a psychologist. I could teach various courses in psychology. And one of the courses that I was asked to teach was on humanistic psychologies. And I said, okay, I will do that, but I really want to focus on the ideas, the philosophy that might have created humanistic ideas. because I didn't know what it was, and I thought, okay, this will make it interesting for me. So I started to read around, and I found, much to my surprise, that so many humanistic psychologists kept on referring back to existential philosophers, to existential psychiatrists, and to phenomenology in general. So I thought, okay, I better look into this. And when I did, I started reading it, and it drove me crazy. I couldn't understand most of what was being written. It was just, it was in English, it was English translation, but it could have been in Russian for all I understood. So for some reason, I guess I was young enough, I had the energy to keep going and going and going. And at the end, I thought, oh, this is really interesting. This is maybe something that could become a psychotherapy. And then, of course, I discovered that lots of other people had thought that same thing beforehand. And it coincided with groups of different people in London who had an interest in existential thought and practice to meet. So I began to meet with them. A society was created. And the next thing I knew, I was an existential therapist.
That's a good story.
Yeah, okay.
And thank you again for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, fingers crossed.